place. It will be the 6th or 7th. And so his participation in the tournament will end right here. But Stuart Bingham, if he wins, he's guaranteed a place in the semi-finals. Let me tell you, by the way, that over on table 1, in another match of a similar ilk, Shaun Murphy leads Liang Wenbo 2-0, so Murphy's in the same boat as Bingham. If Murphy wins, he's through to the semi-finals. And the player watching all of this with interest is Ryan Day. He knows he'll be back tomorrow to contest Group 6, at the very least. But of course he wants to make the playoffs.
One.
Stuart Bingham has mixed emotions, mixed feelings at the moment. Of course, he's absolutely ecstatic about winning the Welsh Open in such dramatic circumstances on Sunday night down at the Cardiff International Arena. Beat Judd Trump 9-8 in the final. £70,000 first prize, another world ranking title. He's first since he won the World Championship in 2015. All very good. Secures him a place in the Champion of Champions next season. Now guaranteed to be involved in the Players' Championship as well. The Players' Championship this season, that is, as he plays a lovely positional shot.
Six.
But it was a rather hectic, frenetic 128-man tournament down in Cardiff. Bingham there thought he was going to stick on the reds and be guaranteed position on the 2 reds closest to the cue ball. Instead of that, though, the white just skimmed off the reds and now no position at all.
Stuart Bingham 13.
So many good things came out of winning in Cardiff. But he committed to Group 5, had to come straight here with hardly any sleep. And I think he's suffering from a loss of adrenaline, which is perfectly understandable. Feeling a little tired now. But of course the motivation for Bingham, if he can play well for the rest of the group and win it, he'd have 2 days off, tomorrow and Thursday. But he needs to be sharp against Kyren Wilson. Yesterday was a poor day for the man from Kettering, who lost 4 matches out of 4. But today, a different story. Looked pretty good in beating Ryan Day 3-0, making breaks of 50, 39, and in the clinching frame, 82.
Kyren Wilson 1. One.
Well, he's got the red on the right-hand side of the table. I can only assume he played a screw back and past the blue. the red to the opposite pocket.
Four.
He's world number 2, Stuart Bingham. A multitude of points
11.
behind Mark Selby, who's the runaway world number 1. But
12.
being world number 2 in itself, given the competitive nature of snooker these days, just underlines how well he's done. And as the world number 2, he is the highest ranked player
19.
who's decided to enter the shootout at the end of the week. Shootout, of course, running down at the Watford Coliseum. From Thursday to Sunday inclusive.
Stuart Bingham, 19.
That wasn't a shootout, that was a stay out. Always looked a hair too thick, and so it proved. I think what Kyren Wilson has got to tell himself is that by winning this match, he would pocket an extra £300. Now, when he was playing in Pro-Ams and coming through the junior ranks, he might get that for winning a reasonable tournament.
8. Nine.
'Good pot, a little lucky with position. Well,
12.
more than a little lucky. Very lucky. But he was the first to acknowledge that fact.
Thirteen. 20. 21. 24. 25.
'After this, Kyren Wilson will turn his attention to
32.
cementing his place in the top 16. in time for qualifying for the World Championship to roll around. He successfully came through qualifying last season. Won 3 matches to do so. At the Crucible, he beat Joe Perry in the first round, 10-9.
40.
Then Mark Allen, 13-9. And it took the eventual champion Mark Selby to beat him in the quarterfinals.
41.
He's got the kind of level head and the kind of dependable game which would suggest he's tailor-made for the marathon that is the World Championship.
$46. 47.
Now that seemed a little bit of a lively bounce off the right-hand side cushion as we're looking. All the matter of whether the red will pot. It's obviously very close to the pink. If it would go to the middle, that would help matters. Wilson also looking to see whether, after potting the pink, it spots. If it doesn't, problem solved. It doesn't go on the spot. It goes on the brown.
53.
So now everything's wide open.
54.
54 the break. 23 the lead, this frame ball. Now, there wasn't the best of contacts on the black. I think it was definitely a kick. He snookered himself.
Kyren Wilson, 61.
So the break ends at 61. The difference is 30. Bingham requires just 1 snooker, so who can blame him for carrying on? After what we saw in the recent World Grand Prix when Marco Fu lost a frame after his opponent Ryan Day had required 4 snookers, this is definitely doable. Or at least it was.
Five. 9. 14. 20. And the frame, Kyren Wilson.
The cornerstone of Wilson's success in that frame, a break of 61. The man who's eliminated from the tournament already, not giving up the ghost, showing a lot of professional pride. And he's taken a 1-0 lead over Stuart Bingham, who needs to win this to guarantee his place in the semi-final playoffs of Group 5. I can tell you one man who will be a fully paid-up member of the Kyren Wilson fan club at the moment, Ryan Day. And that's because if Wilson wins this match, Day, who's been involved in Championship League since Group 1 way back in early January, will again make it to the semi-final playoffs. There's Kyren Wilson, nicknamed the Warrior, and he was certainly a great fighter when he won the Shanghai Masters in 2015, the highlight of his career so far. He negotiated 8 matches to claim that title, beating the likes of Joe Perry, Mark Allen and Ding Junhui en route to the final. There he played Judd Trump, Tremp was a big favourite to succeed, but Wilson clinched the crown, winning 10-9, making a 70-plus break under very pressurised circumstances in the decider.
The second frame, Kyren Wilson to break.
The news from table 1 is very good news for Shaun Murphy. He's beaten Liang Wenbo by 3 frames to 0, made a century break in the opening frame and went from there. And so the 2005 world champion, who's completed the career Triple Crown, having also won the UK and Masters over the years, Mr. Murphy is in our semi-finals this evening.
One.
Now that was better from Bingham. As was that.
6. Thank you. 7. 14. 15.
Shaun Murphy ended the group with 3 victories. He beat Kyren Wilson yesterday.
20.
He's beaten Bingham and Liang Wenbo this afternoon. His frames 1 lost record equals 14 frames won, 12 lost.
21.
Now, if Stuart Bingham can win this match 3-1, he would have 3 points as well. He would have won 14 frames, lost 11. So on that basis, he would be third in the table, Murphy would be fourth. And so consequently, the semi-final lineup would read Trump against Murphy, Williams against Bingham. But if Bingham wins this match 3-2, by my reckoning, Bingham and Murphy would have exactly the same number of points, 3, and their frames won and lost would be exactly the same. 14 for, 12 against. So then to decide who should be third, who should be fourth, you have to go on what happened in their match.
26.
And Murphy won it. But all of that is in the future. It's a moot point at the moment because first, to get into the playoffs, Bingham has to win by whatever the score. The way the semi-final playoffs work, the player who finishes first in the group plays the player who finishes fourth, and the two players who are second and third come up against each other. Again, the semi-finals are best of 5. The final also a race to 3. Well, I think Bingham played that as a shot to nothing, but he's left it. He's left this red.
One. Six. Seven.
Lots of side employed there to get on the right side of the blue. Looked quite an easy shot, but into the middle, that kind of shot can go astray. There is just room to slide this one in.
30.
And now a really good chance for 2-0.
Twenty-one. Twenty-eight. 29. 36. 37.
You might think, well, hold on a minute, Stuart Bingham currently on 2 points, Kyren Wilson on 1. If Wilson were to win this, they'd both have 2 points. And maybe Wilson could save himself. Well, he can't, because
44.
starting this match, Wilson had only won 7 frames in total in the group. Bingham had won 11, so even if Wilson wins 3-0, it's not going to be quite enough. Wilson and Liang Wenbo will depart the event.
$52. 53. 60. 61.
41 in front, 43 on the table. The simplest red imaginable to seal it.
68.
What a difference a day has made for Kyren Wilson. Yesterday he struggled from the outset.
74.
Today he's won 5 frames in succession. He beat Ryan Day 3-0, and now he's 2-0 up, guaranteed, against Stuart Bingham.
$80. 82. 85. 89.
We've seen plenty of century breaks in this particular group.
$94.
And it looks as though another one will be added to the list. Well, a little earlier, Judd Trump, Mr. Black, to make a century.
107.
But Kyren Wilson does not. In it goes. 3 figures for him, a very good knock. And look at the scoreline. He leads Stuart Bingham 2-0. If Bingham is going to make our playoffs this evening, he's going to have to do it the hard way, because 3 frames potentially are left in the match. The 2015 world champion needs to win all 3. Hence the glum expression. The one good thing for Bingham, at least he knows if he loses this match and doesn't make the playoffs, he is going to be 5th in the group, and consequently he's going to be returning for Group 6 tomorrow. I'll tell you what, he's the quintessential half-queue will travel man, Bingham. Where there's a tournament, you'll find him. in May this year. He will celebrate his 41st birthday, but still as good as ever in the eyes of many. Over the last few years, he's been better than ever. And he was the Championship League winner in 2015. A couple of months before, he hoisted the most coveted trophy in snooker, the World Championship itself.
Stuart Bingham.
By the way, you might be wondering, as I was talking about Group 6 there in between frames, which players will join the party tomorrow? Well, it's going to be a very attractive group, because coming into the tournament will be last year's German Masters champion, Martin Gould, a multiple ranking event winner in Ricky Walden, and the world #1, Mark Selby. Well, I thought for a fleeting second that that might be a good kiss. And that thought was quickly dispelled, though.
Rainbow. Kyren motion 1.
Winning the Welsh Open for Stuart Bingham was the icing on the cake for his season. Before that, he'd put together a reasonable campaign. Recent semi-finalist in the German Masters. Got to the final of the inaugural China Championship, semi-finalist International Championship, and the English Open, and the Shanghai Masters. Bingham also beaten in the final of the World Six Reds Championship by Ding Junhui. But in this match, his back is most certainly pressed against the wall.
Yellow ball.
That is superb. What a lovely pot. And you know, small things mean a lot in this game. He lost all 4 matches yesterday, Wilson. Although it wasn't mathematically certain, he must have turned up today believing he was going to be eliminated.
4.
But what a professional performance this has been. Just got on with the task. Try to maximise his earnings. And I think the general approach from Wilson tells us an awful lot about his makeup and the respect he has for the game. And time again, it's shown that if you respect the game respects you. Now he targeted the red just below the black. If this turns out nicely, it's a position of rich promise. One of those shots that even at the very highest level, the player had to trust to luck. And frankly, he didn't receive any. Okay, he still got a pot on the brown, theoretically, but queuing over that bunch of reds,
yellow ball.
It is most certainly not the shot to take on.
Kyren motion 17.
For a moment there, it seemed as though the cue ball might nestle in behind the yellow. Just a little too hard, though, for that to happen. Of course, it would have been totally fortuitous. Now, that was a bonus, as is position on the brown. Now then, Kyren Wilson could possibly be in to win. Well, the red still goes to the right-hand middle pocket as we're looking at it, but he wanted to be an awful lot straighter than he's actually dropped. And hampered cueing this, the bridge hand very close to the pink.
Six.
Very nice indeed. Well, it looks increasingly likely that poor old Stuart Bingham has fizzled out in this group. With 2 wins out of 3 yesterday, he was looking good. Today, though, a different story. Lost 3-2 to Mark Williams in the first match on table 1 this morning. Williams firing in a break of 142, the highest of the group so far. Bingham then lost 3-1 to Shaun Murphy this afternoon.
15.
And now he's hurtling to a third successive defeat.
$60. 21. $22.
One nice aspect of this frame for Wilson is that
25.
now with a 43-point lead, he knows if he does miss, it's going to be tough for Bingham to get back into it, certainly in a single scoring visit with the two awkward reds on the left-hand side cushion.
26.
Also, Wilson knows that he won't need them. If he can pot the brown here and then a couple more reds with colours, it's good night. Judged the cannon to perfection.
30.
And now to say it's bleak for Bingham
31.
would be an understatement. Blue is frame ball.
36. 37.
'It was all academic for Kyren Wilson, but what a performance nevertheless.
41.
Very smooth.
42.
'Stuart Bingham will not be required this evening.
46.
He'll be back in the tournament tomorrow for Group 6. But as far as the playoffs are concerned, he will be absent.
Kyren Wilson, 47, frame and the match.
What a good performance from Kyren Wilson. Breaks of 47, 102 and 61, and with that he beats Stuart Bingham by 3 frames to 0. So Stuart Bingham is going to be 5th in the group. Despite that performance, Kyren Wilson and Liang Wenbo have been eliminated. As for those through to the semi-finals, well, Judd Trump, number 1 in the group with 6 wins out of 6. He will take on Ryan Day in the semi-finals. In the other semi-final, it will be Mark Williams against Shaun Murphy. Both of those matches begin at 6 o'clock local time. See you then.